What's good, y'all boys? Welcome back again to another video. It's your boy, Boss Enosch. You feel me? And today we're gonna watch this video called Former Conservatives versus Former Liberals. It's a Jubilee video. That's a pretty interesting concept. You feel me? Because it's two groups. People from two groups that they used to believe in and don't believe in them anymore. Now that could range from like a more, I actually don't agree with what I see, to a more extreme, like, oh my gosh, I used to believe everything what these people say, and now I don't believe none of it. They all lie to me. It's all lies. So it's really interesting. They've done conservatives versus liberals before in a bunch of different variations, where they had like black conservatives versus white liberals. I think they did the opposite, white liberals or black. Did they do black liberals? I don't know if they did black liberals versus white conservatives. I might have just gave them a video idea if they didn't do that shit yet. They did trans conservatives versus trans liberals and shit like that, but never this right here. So that's all I gotta say. We're gonna get into it. I haven't watched it. This is gonna be my first time watching it. It's 38 minutes long, but you know me. We'll see how long this video comes out to. Y'all ready?
Oh, I'm not gonna participate in your delusion. You'll never meet a Republican that uses pronouns. It's just a fact. It's only
Everybody
the left.
uses pronouns. Just
Everyone
some people choose to
Okay, well,
announce
my
their
pronouns now for the rest of the time are pretty princess.
That's
And if
not
you
a
didn't-
pronoun.
What do you mean?
Those are not even pronouns.
Okay, so what are your
That's
Zize,
grammatic.
Zen, Zer, Ishi?
It's such an annoying argument when they say that. Everyone uses pronouns. Duh. But they're talking about people wanting to change their shit. People's not doing that shit, okay? The frame of thinking that you have using the pronouns is not the same as a regular person, okay? So that argument is so dumb. Everyone uses pronouns. Bruh, nobody's gonna be saying no Z's, I's, M's, Z's, you know what I'm saying? No, we're not doing that shit. Just because you want to be called a her or a him, does not mean people gonna do that, or they have to. That's what people be talking about. And going above and beyond to go, like I remember when there was a show that was coming out, it was One Piece actually, and when they were releasing the cast, they would put the pictures of the cast, right, and their names, and they would put their pronouns next to it. Hold on, let me look at them real quick. Let me look at the demographics of these people. And let me discriminate and judge. Okay. Former conservatives on the top. So, and former liberals on the bottom. Okay. So, black dude. I don't know if that lady's white. I don't know. It could be maybe Middle Eastern or something. White dude. Okay. White dude. White lady. White lady. Maybe she's white Hispanic. I don't know. And a black dude. Okay.
My former political views were cult-like.
Uh-oh.
Can the agreeers please step forward?
How many gonna come up? Wait, hold on.
Can the
All the former
agreeers please
liberals?
step forward?
Dang, 2 of the conservatives and all 4 of the liberals. Oh my gosh. Wait, what the fuck? Are the two black dudes gay? Hold on.
I was gonna say, I think both are just two separate cults, because which is so funny. And I think also sides have ironically kind of switched, because as a Republican now, I'm so anti-war. I'm anti-sending money to all these different countries that are not ours, while people are sick from the water and children are starving. Anti-pharmaceutical, anti-big government, anti all these things. And I'm like, that is original liberalism. So I'm I think I'm more independent, but I register and I vote as far right as I possibly can and always will.
I think both sides are very tribal.
Yeah.
But in terms of cult, at this moment in time, I think the left is more cult-like. I was in it for 20 years, what's known today as the woke left, but we used to call it social justice left, progressive left.
Known by conservatives as woke.
Right, but here are some of the characteristics that I think make it more cult-like than perhaps the conservative side. One is that if you had questions, you had to check your privilege, or there was always some line that they would use to get you to stop asking questions, which is sort of cult.
That's a fact. And this is what people like me, right, have been saying forever. When you have questions and you want to ask the questions and they don't let you ask questions, or they shame you or try to make you feel bad, same as shaming, for asking questions, you're probably on the wrong side. That sounds pretty authoritarian, where you're not allowed to question anything. You're not allowed to use your brain. You can only do what they want you to do. What they tell you to do, that's all you can do. It's crazy.
And then the other thing was there was this encouragement to separate from people who didn't agree with you. And so I slowly over time whittled my world down to just people who were in the social justice left. And there was really, for people who left, which I did eventually, which was a long process, it's a bit like you become an apostate.
Ostracized.
You don't just leave or have different opinions, it's like once you leave, you can't come back.
That is a cult. It's like Scientology.
Well, I have perspective because I came from a really religious background, and there's a lot of shame around believing something other than what you're taught. Because of that, it makes you feel like you can't express.
That's true. That's true. That happens on the conservative side too, for sure.
Questions without being told that you're going to hell, you're going to be exiled from your family. And so when I started thinking a little bit outside of the lines of what I was always told, family members literally to this day will not speak to me, will not look at me in family gatherings where you're just supposed to be like, you're my family, aren't you supposed to love me endlessly? And in turn, they've exiled me because I don't believe the things that they believe.
And I think
That's true. It happens a lot.
that's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
By the way,
Agreed,
I
yeah.
am ironically like pretty far known as far right in my community, and then ironically very leftist at times because you can't please everyone. But I have never cut off a person because of their political beliefs in my life, but everyone on the left did it to me.
I will say from my own experience, but coming from the opposite. So especially when the George Floyd incidents were happening, it was kind of, a consensus that you should be BLM, rah, 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 all cops are bad. And just me questioning that within my own circles, it's like there's a lot of pushback and it feels a little awkward because I'm just, it's literally just asking questions. If I did have to, point a finger, I would point it at the left or the liberals for feeling attacked by words that are said on the other side. Because there's not a lot of, conservatives that are like, oh, you said there's more genders, I'm offended. I'm personally attacked by that.
That's literally only one side.
Yeah, it is.
Can the disagreeers please step forward?
I honestly think that both sides have very tribalistic tendencies at a time. As far as the question, were my beliefs personally cult-like? I don't think that I was in a cult. And I mean, even I think you mentioned that conservatives don't get offended by speech as much, but conservatives get offended by pronouns. They got offended by Mr. Potato Head. They get offended by all kinds.
Really stupid things.
Yeah, they get very triggered also. And for me, when I left the right, that was something I noticed because I started off as anti-SJW, triggered feminist stuff, and I'm like, the right is kind of becoming this way too a little bit with some things, very offended and triggered.
I would like to push back a little bit about conservatives being offended by pronouns.
See, here's the thing though. This is what I'll say. I have seen conservatives get mad about stupid shit. Off the top of my head, what's an example? Oh, well, I have an example. You remember, I think it was last year, M&M's. You know how the M&M's have their brand characters? There's the red M&M, the yellow M&M, the blue one, the brown one, the green one, the orange one, the purple one. So I think 3 of them are girls. The green one, the brown one, and the purple one. They all wore heels and the guys wore shoes, tennis shoes or whatever. So I think they changed the green one. Yeah, they changed the green one. There's in order to be more inclusive, they gave the green one regular shoes instead of heels. I don't know if they're just to say that not all women like wearing heels, or if they were trying to say that the green one's actually gay or something. And people got mad. I think Fox News was talking about it. Now that is whatever. You know what I mean? That's whatever. Yeah, it's an example of companies changing things to be more inclusive, right? But it's not something to get your panties in a twist about. I think when I seen it, I laughed. Me, I don't care. Because yes, times are changing, right? Times are changing. So stuff like that is going to happen, but it's not on the same level as some of the propaganda and shit they be putting in movies and shows. You know what I'm saying? Or even in politics. But yeah, them changing one girl M&M from wearing heels to wearing shoes, not that big a deal, because guess what? Real life girls wear shoes. Oh my God. But I can see why people would notice it, right? You're not wrong for noticing it and at least laughing at it or whatever, because the liberals' response to conservative be like, oh, why do you care so much? Da 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 da. It's just an M&M. So I'm like, okay, well, you can easily flip that back to you. Why did you care so much to change it in the first place? He said, why do you care so much to notice it? Why'd you care enough to change it? hey, let's keep on though.
Pronouns.
But my main point is that, bro, with a lot of changes that changes to a society, right, that people are trying to enforce, they're not always going to be big, overt ways, too. They're going to be subtle as well, right? They're going to be subtle as well. And, I mean, liberals got mad at that first Spider-Man game on PS4 because Spider-Man worked with the police in the game. And there's like these, part of the game mechanic was like these surveillance towers that would notify him when crime's going on. And people were saying, oh, Spider-Man PS4 is propaganda. It's Spider-Man, bro. Nigga's a superhero. Of course he's gonna work with the police, bro. Like, come on, bro. It is what it is.
I think it's more so that they are being forced and to acquiesce to the pronouns of other people, which is, you know, a form of, you know, controlling speech.
Well, don't conservatives get really mad like when the whole pronouns and bio thing?
No,
They're
like,
oh, look, you have pronouns.
I get what both of you are saying, because my thing is like, why would I ever care if you have pronouns in bio, but I will never call you by
I think
them.
it's more that people just view it as a tribal signifier. So in the same way that someone might view, oh, that person has a cross in their profile.
Yeah, I mean,
faith.
like, I've definitely, like, if I see pronouns in someone's bio, I'll roll my eyes. It doesn't mean that I, like,
Same.
hate the person or not, but it is going to signify to me, in 95% of cases, I'm going to know exactly what
I know exactly
host
who you
of
are
things
almost,
are.
so I'm just
You're
going to stay away
Or
from
you're gonna
you.
assume that you know a
yeah.
bunch because someone
But why,
has pronouns
though?
in their bio.
Because I'm not going to participate in...
Listen, because a lot of times, motherfuckers that buy into that shit, they all act the same. I don't want to generalize, but it happens a lot of the time, bruh. It happens a lot of the time, where a motherfucker got pronouns in their bio, and then they might say the most stupid, unhinged take that you can think of, right? But of course, you can say the same thing to, like, other side. Let's say if you see someone that's like, I'm a patriot, I'm American loving, America first patriot, da da da. 9 times out of 10, you might see the same thing that you would expect them to say. So a lot of this stuff goes both ways. It really just depends on what you think is crazy and what's not. Me, I'm biased. Everyone has bias, but if I think something's crazy, I'm gonna say it, whether it's on the left side or the right side. It don't matter.
in your delusion. And my thing
'Cause
is like, you'll never meet a Republican that uses pronouns. It's just a fact. It's only
Everybody
the left.
uses pronouns.
Everybody
Just
uses
choose to
pronouns.
Okay, well, my
Everybody
pronoun
uses
now for the
pronouns.
rest of the time are pretty princess.
That's
And if
not
you
a
didn't-
pronoun.
What do you mean?
Those are not even pronouns.
Okay, so what are your
That's
zes,
grammatic.
zems, or he, she?
Yeah, I think
Great.
that pronoun.
Pause. Sorry. I want to pull it back to cult.
Yes.
Okay.
Circling back to the cult idea, we kind of strayed and went to pronouns, which I think is, again, it's like a kind of a hot topic. The media
She has
really
gauges.
makes you believe that one side is more of a cult than the other. That's all subjective. Some of the people that are on my side, it's cultish, but it doesn't mean everyone is.
Well, let me
Agree
give you
with
an
it.
example, like, because I agree with you that the media is fomenting these like right side, left side
Yes.
cults. 100%, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And social media.
So like when
The black dude right there look like he don't want to be here, bro. I don't know if that's just his face. He got a stank face or something, but he's just like,
unquote, like left the left,
Yeah.
it was because I had begun to question the policies that were surrounding the whole COVID situation. And I experienced...
yeah. A lot of times people have these conversations. A lot of times they just talk about the social aspects to it, but not really too much on the policy aspects, right?
cultishness on the left and the right,
Of course.
for sure. But what I found was if there were people who were willing to listen to me, they were like 95% of the time they were on the right about like, I think the government is trying to control us. I think that they're trying to force us to do X, Y, Z things. I only found ears on the right, except in maybe 1 or 2 cases. So like for me, I was like when the prompt is like, oh, the left is, or your former side is a cult. That was very visceral to me. There was a section of the right that I could talk to, and they didn't feel like there was a section of the left.
Well, you can always talk to me about it sometime if you want.
I was gonna say,
I'd be
me
more
too.
than happy to talk
I'm
to you
more
about the
than happy
COVID
to
stuff.
talk
Thank you,
about
my friend.
I think Trump will win the next election.
Do I think he'll win? I don't know, bruh. If shit is looking how well, I don't know. Because, they're going to go above and beyond to try to make sure he don't win, okay? They're going to go above and beyond to make sure he don't win. The media is not on his side. Even the more conservative media is not on his side. So, they're going to try hard. But again, people don't like Joe Biden. And so far, there's no other Democrat that's running for president. It might be Gavin Newsom because he's doing a lot of stuff flying around and talking to people in the background. But it's... I don't know, bro. I don't know. I really don't know. I gotta take a closer look as we get closer to the point in time. Bro. Oh, okay.
Love Trump. I think he's the greatest president we've ever had, and I love him. I've loved him for a long time. Personality, everything. I will say, the more they do this witch hunt after him, he just keeps getting more and more popular. And now that we have free speech on Twitter, you cannot deny.
I don't know. I don't think I like that white girl. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, I don't think I like her. I'm not sure why yet, but I don't think I like her. I don't think I like her.
People love him. Like, the black community's coming forward, and it's just funny because I love
Oh my gosh! Please don't.
watching them go after him, because I think elections at this point are 100% fake and rigged. I just watch
Are you
him
gonna
rise
think
in
that if he
popularity.
wins?
Huh?
Are you gonna think that if
I
he
think
wins?
that. I mean, with the entire world against you, I'd be shocked. But I just think now it's harder for them to hide it.
Yeah, I mean, I had major TDS.
She kind of sounds like someone who's online too much. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's what it kind of sound like.
For his Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah. A lot of people on the right have it. They were like obsessed with him and crazy.
The cult thing.
Yeah, it's a cult thing.
I had major Trump derangement syndrome.
No, she said the wrong thing. It's not the people on the right that are obsessed with him. Trump derangement syndrome, which I guess it could apply, but normally it's never used that way. It's used to describe people that hate him. They hate him so much that they think he's the devil. All right. Yeah.
Through pretty much his entire first presidency, except I was a little softer towards the middle of 2020. But even so, I didn't really come around to liking Trump until after he was president. I went totally Republican in my viewpoints, but I think that I came around to liking him, unfortunately, after his presidency, because I saw what we got next. And so now at this point, I'm voting for Trump in the primary, in the general. God willing.
My life was way better then.
My life was way better.
I could afford things.
I'm concerned that he's going to win as well, and I don't think it's because he's the greatest president we've ever had. Yeah. I think it's because the Democrats have a branding problem. And I think Trump is a brilliant marketer, and I think he's a brilliant con man, and I think he's done a fabulous job making the case to the people who love him that he's going to do what they want him to do, even though he doesn't. So I think he definitely can win. I think they're both wildly unpopular, both him and Biden.
Totally.
I think that there's not a lot of great options. I think the vast majority of people voting want another option, and I do think that his base has more enthusiasm than the Democratic base does.
I think it's funny you say that, because I think that about the right. I think we have the worst branding issue in the world. I think the right is so tacky.
The Republican Party does. Trump does.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Republican Party
marketer.
is just so tacky, 20 years behind. But it's funny because I'm watching far left people come onto my side now, and I'm it's starting to shake things up. But it was funny because I think if there was another option.
Who is this girl? She seems like she's like a content creator that's in this space.
Him and the current vegetable we have, and also Kamal is so unpopular. You just have double trouble with them.
Yeah, the Democrats aren't. They're not putting up a viable option. I think
RFK I thought was
I think the
amazing.
worst thing that the Democrats did for themselves was push RFK out of that primary process.
Who I love, by the way.
I like him too. And now he's running as an independent.
I'd like to start off. I really do hope Trump wins. I think it's for the best interest of America that he does. Unfortunately, I do fully believe that the Democratic Party is a bunch of political terrorists, and I do believe that they will do whatever they can to steal the election. It's a hot take, but from the last election with the ballots, I really don't think they're going to make it
Trump,
easy.
called and said to find fake ballots?
I mean, there's a longer call that you could listen to that debunks everything. I mean, he's not going to end up in jail. All of that is just, a hit job. But I do think the Democratic Party would rather.
I have to re-listen to that call. I can't really argue for or against that. These are times like this where I wish I had an encyclopedia brain where I remember every minute detail of everything. I just don't. Okay, there's a lot of shit that happens every day. I don't remember the full length of the call, but I do remember that it's not exactly how they're trying to make it seem, where he's like, oh yeah, come up with some votes, come up with some fake votes. I'm pretty sure it wasn't like that.
Rather die than have him in power, and I think they could do that because people aren't aware about the ballot fraud that's going on.
Just quick on that, on the voter fraud comments that you made. What about yesterday? Sidney Powell just pled guilty to 6 counts of the conspiracy in Georgia against the election there. So that's actual fraud that was committed on the right side for Trump.
There's probably on both sides then, but I would say it's much more in the favor of seeing that, during the election count they pause it and they, mail in ballots for Joe Biden.
I also think we shouldn't take guilty pleas at face value because the justice system.
That too. That's what I was thinking that too. I'm like, okay, just because she said that does not really, or just because she pled guilty does not mean that she's guilty, right? We know that. We know that for a fact. And there's people that's guilty that plead innocent. And there's people that's innocent that plead guilty. And then there's people that take plea deals.
System really
that would be believing the rest of the system, which I don't believe any of it. So I guarantee there's fraud on both sides, and it's all
for sure.
and I think it's all corrupt. So
I agree.
I don't think he's going to win. I agree with you. I don't trust the last.
Even that, I can't say. I think once upon a time I would agree. Like, yes, everything's corrupt. Everything's corrupt. Everything's rigged. But things are more nuanced than that. You know what I mean? Like, there is corruption, but at the same time, there's also people that are not corrupt. It's a what's the word? I don't know. It's just like a easy excuse. Oh yeah, everything's corrupt. Everything's rigged. Because the reality is a lot more complicated, and the reality is a lot harder, and it's harder to really break it down in a 2-second statement.
Election results, but I actually don't trust any presidential election results since Kennedy. So I don't. I just think. I think. I am going to vote because screw them. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna allow them to instill apathy in me. But I don't really put a lot of stock in national elections anymore, and I think local is more important. So I think that they probably are gonna not give it to a Republican this time around.
Religion played a part in changing my beliefs.
Patreon exclusive.
Join our Middle Ground Patreon to watch this exclusive prompt.
What the fuck? That's what they doing now? They cutting out sections for Patreon? What the freak?
Democrats are more compassionate than Republicans.
What do I think? I don't think that's true, bro. I mean, listen, this is what I can tell you. On the surface, I've met a lot of liberals, a lot of Democrats, a lot of them white people that are very compassionate about what people got going on and supporting other people and stuff like that. But at the same time, I've also seen what some of the people do when you disagree with them. And it's vicious, it's vile. They want you dead, damn near. They want you exiled, type shit. Compared to Republicans, right? Because it's different in both groups. There's different sides in both groups. There's more extreme sides and there's less extreme sides, right? The most extreme Democrats are super liberal, and even more extreme to that, they're far left. They're not even Democrats no more. But on the Republican side, the more extreme, like the super religious, the super, maybe rural, stuck in their ways, old type of thinking where, they think anybody that's not them is bad. You know what I'm saying? But on the more reasonable side, Republicans. I mean, yeah, you American, bro. At the end of the day, you American. We all Americans. We do what we do. We work. We try to take care of our kids, our family. And they're pretty understanding of that. Even if you have a disagreement, they're going to talk to you. You're going to have a debate, maybe an argument, but I'm not going to. As long as it's not like over something crazy, they still going to be cool with you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of Democrats, they see them as like, oh, you're evil. You're evil. That's the thing. I think Democrats, right, they see the average Republican as like, you're evil, you're on the evil side, how could you, da-da-da. More so, Republicans see the people on top of the Democrats are the evil ones, and not necessarily the people that like are on the side. More like the people that run that shit. Because, Republicans are more anti-establishment, so their anger is aimed for the people on the top that make some of the stupid-ass decisions that we've been seeing. Let's keep going, though.
Fancy meeting you here.
I was waiting for someone to say something, and I hate it. I don't want to be sitting here.
Let's see.
I will say, I do think the left tends to be more emotional. I would assume that would come with feelings of empathy. And I will say,
here's one thing you need to do before buying it.
People on the right,
YouTube is tripping. Ad block don't work no more.
I'm not actually very popular on the right. As soon as you disagree on certain things, I mean, the death threats, the hate. Yeah. Oh, so you're liberal now. And I'm like, and there are certain things like abortion's a hot topic.
Yeah,
I think
true.
it's a little crazy and it's a little too far. I would hope that in the future I become a more middle voice in the Republican Party. But I do find in general, like people on the left, I think because you're more emotional, inherently you're gonna care more about people's feelings. I'm not really one to care that much. That's why I'm on the other side. You know what I mean? But I'll give you guys that credit.
I actually agree with what you're saying a lot, because they've even done like literal brain scans, and they can actually predict people's political beliefs based on their brains up to like 80 to 90% accurate.
What the fuck? Brain scans of people taken while they perform various tasks and even doing nothing accurately predict whether they were politically conservative or liberal.
Accuracy? Like, it's
Whoa.
insane. And so I think, well, you're right, that people on the left do tend to think more so, I think it's with their left side of the brain, that has more emotion involvement,
The creative
which can be
side.
both a blessing and a curse, I think, at times, because politics are also about factual information. And so feelings are obviously not all that matter. But yeah, Democrats do tend to be more compassionate at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I was on the left my whole life, and like I was literally an emo kid. So it's like funny being on this side now. Now I kind of like I'm a lot more analytical about things. I try to cut the emotion as honestly a survival tactic at this point.
I agree with that too.
I think Democrats are much more concerned with like social programs that help people who aren't themselves. And I think that they often are the
That's
leaders
true.
of the civil rights movements of our time. And I think those things
Of our time.
leading
Okay, that's good. He said of our time because before that's not how I went.
policy with people first, I think, is a bigger priority for them. And it's not to say that Republicans don't have empathy or compassion. I just don't think it necessarily leads their politics.
Yeah, see, there you go. Okay, I see what you're saying about the politics. Really, if Republicans could be more empathetic with, in policy-wise, for example, not all the way. Well, not policy-wise. What am I saying? I think more socially, right? Where, like me, okay, I'm pretty empathetic. I can understand people's struggles, people's situations, what they be going through, whether you black, white, Asian, Hispanic, straight, gay, whatever. Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we're all human beings. Doesn't mean I necessarily agree with some of the stuff you believe in, right? But I get it. And I think if more of that party could be like that, they would win a lot of shit because, okay, one, you're understanding and empathetic with people. And okay, so once you're already being empathetic and understanding, and now you talk about your policies, they'll be like, okay, you know what? Oh, okay, I agree with that. Policy-wise, too, they could do some work, too, especially with, like, social programs for, like, let's say, single mothers, for example, right? Or, not single mothers, for, let's say, like, families, for example, or single parents, like single fathers, single mothers, people that need a little help with, like, childcare, for example. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not socialism, okay? That's not Marxism. That's just helping out your citizens that need a little extra helping hand, bruh. It is what it is. And there should be no problem with that because we're in a capitalist society where people can make money, people can start businesses, people can have the capacity to succeed exponentially. There's nothing wrong with helping people a little bit that aren't there. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah.
So, Jonathan Haidt has a great book called The Righteous Mind, which I think everyone on this panel would love it probably. But in that book, he's trying to figure out, I think the subtitle is Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion. And he divides morality up into different types of morality. One of those types, the one that liberals and conservatives have in common, is the care-harm principle. They both care about people. They both don't want people to be harmed. But the difference is that they have different definitions of what's going to harm people and what's caring for people. And I thought that was really interesting. When I started leaving the left, I thought, oh, Republicans don't care about people, that's why they oppose raising the minimum wage. And it wasn't until I started listening to other points of view that I realized, oh, they oppose raising the minimum wage because they think it's going to harm people because you're going to get fewer hours, fewer workers.
Yep. See, it's all about framing. It's all about framing. That's why I do not like a lot of these motherfucking liberals and a lot of like the media, MSNBC, CNN, them motherfuckers. Because they will frame something that a Republican or conservative says and make it seem like they're saying that because they're evil and they hate you. Okay? But the reasoning is totally different. Like the student loan debt, for example. An argument that I've seen was like, okay, Republicans don't want the student loan forgiveness because, they just want poor people to suffer. But I remember I was seeing somebody say, they don't want to use taxpayer money to relieve those debts when we're already in debt and yada, 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 yada. I don't know. I need to watch we're gonna react to a longer video talking about that stuff. But as an example, that's an example where it's like, bro, it's not because of this, it's because of this.
Get fired, and so it's not that we disagree, liberals and conservatives, on the why. Like, we agree on that, why we should care for people. We disagree on the how.
I agree with that 100%. But adding more to that is my way of showing compassion would be to tell someone that pick yourself up by your bootstraps. Like, you have more potential and you can do this, as opposed to someone else.
That's a charge saying
that, okay, the government should step in and, you know, support you and do X, Y, Z for you, which in the grand scheme of things isn't going to benefit that person. It's going to teach them that they can rely on a bigger being to be, you know, their support system. But if you learn how to pull yourself up, I think you can be more equipped to go throughout this world in a successful way.
Can't both things?
Well, listen, I get what he's saying, but the government is by the people, for the people, right? By the people, for the people, okay? So there's nothing wrong with there being parts of the government that help citizens, that help, like, poorer people, for example. I mean, look how we live in. A lot of people live in check to check. Majority of people live in check to check. Majority of people got less than $500 in their bank accounts, right? Let alone the savings accounts. Groceries going higher. And okay, so groceries going higher, bills going up, rent going up. People got to work. Some people working 2 jobs, some people working 3 jobs, but they got kids. How the kids gonna get to school? How can they afford childcare if they got young kids? There's so much to it where it's like, it's okay if the government gives a helping hand. Right? That's an emergency, right? You know what I mean? On the other end, the government should be helping to try to make sure all these things aren't going up how they are right now. Inflation and everything going crazy. But there's nothing wrong with the government helping people, okay? There are ways where it can be taken too far, right? Like, a lot of people have arguments about the welfare state and how that affected black people specifically. Which in and of itself, it was not a bad thing to help, but the way they did some of the policies, like, you know, making sure there's no fathers in the home, to kind of incentivize that behavior type shit. Let's keep going though.
This be true. I don't feel like liberals are telling people that they need someone to pick them up and that they can't do it for themselves. I think they're saying that there's inequalities in the world and that there's structures in place that put people in a position to where they can't get the life or the things that they want. The things that they deserve, and they can do both at the same time. You can pick yourself up and you can accept welfare. And I think that there's a lot of programs that people have benefited from. Even just the ability to feed their kids. It doesn't mean that this mom is all of a sudden going to not work because she's getting welfare. She's probably already has 2 or 3 jobs.
Talking from my own experience, I think if I'm being told, as I was, that I am oppressed and that there are systems against me, I am not going to have the same capabilities of lifting myself up from that if I'm maintaining the mindset that I am oppressed and that I can't do something. Instead of saying that I could have done better, I'll be like, oh, the system's against me. I
feel like black people are told not that. They're told they have to work twice as hard, so they do. I don't.
They're told both. See, this is what's so interesting about this stuff, bruh. Both of the things these people are saying are true. Both of these things are true. There are people that try to push a victim mindset on black people, and there are also black people that tell other black people, tell their kids, you know, you have to work twice as hard. You have to work hard. Well, no, actually, hold on. The working twice as hard thing is kind of another part of the victim mindset, though, because you're saying that you have to work hard, not because it takes hard work to be successful, but because people are not going to fuck with you because you're black. But I think the dominant ideological force on black people in America has been the victim mindset. You have to work twice as hard because you're black. You know, oh, you're a victim, so you need a handout. You know, you need welfare. You need the government to da-da-da-da-da.
I don't think that black people don't try because they're told that they're oppressed. I think that they are told that you're going to have to do more because of discrimination.
Yeah, I think
it's the victim
in terms
mindset.
of, like, you know, compassion, I think that, like, on the right there's more like a tough love kind of thing where it's like, you have to do this for yourself. We can't do this for you, but we want to encourage you to, like, take initiative, and you can be whatever you want to be. And I think, you know, on the left, it's like, well, we need to help everybody to, you know, realize their full potential. I think both of those things can be compassionate in different ways. And I think to a certain degree you need both
Yeah,
mentalities.
exactly.
Like I think we need to find middle ground. and
Roll
say
credits.
on both sides are finding compassion, I guess, in their. That's why I didn't step forward. Yeah.
Sides was traumatic.
Uh-oh. I dropped the beer.
It was very, very, very traumatic.
Uh-oh.
I've grown on the belief, that, black
Trauma time.
people are systematically oppressed. And that does a lot for a young person's perspective. And when I started to, listen to the other side and I started to dismantle that within myself, I felt like my whole life was really a lie. Not only that, but I was also a pretty big ally of the LGBTQ community. And then seeing transgenderism dismantled in front of me was also very discomforting because I have transgender.
Why they put the camera on her? They trying to see if she's gonna have a reaction or not.
Family members, and I was very pro LGBTQ, and it's just feeling that like everything's just crumbling down. It took me a lot of time to cover through it, so it was. I remember the feelings very vividly.
I mean,
You can tell in his voice.
have a different perspective because, again, we kind of are on different sides of that spectrum. I was raised militantly in religious and political ideologies my entire life. And when I was 20, my sister was killed in a car accident. And because of that, and that extreme trauma that happened that had nothing to do with my ideologies, it allowed me to open up my eyes to the struggles that other people were going through because I had never experienced something of that devastation before. So I opened my eyes to like, what else is going on that I'm not aware of, that I've been in this bubble being told that, no one else is oppressed. I was just told that they weren't real and that I had to be steadfast with my beliefs, and if I questioned them, then, there was this fear and guilt associated with it, and it caused immense amount of trauma that I'm still desperately working through to this day.
I'm sorry for your loss, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So her sister dying made her think about what other people could be going through. Dang, so the way she grew up, they never taught her to think about what other people went through in life? I wonder where. It probably has to do with the environment that she was in, right? Was she in like a small rural town or something? Deep in Arkansas or something?
It's funny because we're on different sides, supposedly, but we have a lot of similar experiences because the social justice or woke world, I was in it for about 2 decades. I worked with comedians who also were woke and pushed woke beliefs in their comedy, and I really was a true believer in it. I thought it was about ending racism and sexism, and when I started to question it, it was like your whole world crumbling. I lost a lot of friends. They weren't friends, they were allies. That's the way I think of it now. I ended my career and changed my whole perspective. And I think the reason it's so traumatizing, to use that word, is because it's not just like you're changing one opinion on one issue. If you think of your belief system as like a house, you are literally bulldozing your whole house to the ground and starting over with brick by brick. What do I believe about this thing? I don't have an opinion yet on that because I'm trying to read about, I had limited myself in so many ways of what I was allowed to listen to or allowed to read, or, within that cult there are people that you just don't listen to. I had never listened to a lot of conservatives. So.
And that's a problem in and of itself too, is I think to have a good understanding of just society of people at both sides, you have to be able to listen. I think not being able to inquire about why someone believes something that they say and then have a confrontation about it is why there's so much division.
I think something I've learned through this whole ordeal is that anyone, anywhere, on any side that tells me not to ask questions, I'm going to immediately ask questions.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And
you should be able to.
Yeah.
You should be able to ask questions on either side and just not feel like there's going to be daggers thrown at you for it. I might not necessarily agree, but I'm allowed to hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't want to shut anyone down. Like freedom of speech, you're allowed to speak. I'm allowed to disagree.
I was on the fence with this one because my experience wasn't necessarily traumatizing, but it was definitely really uncomfortable. My entire family are all like staunch Republicans, Trump supporters, and I'm one of the only ones that have actually branched off of that and away from that. And so I was silenced pretty much because I was getting a lot of pushback and I was getting a lot of hate and kind of being bullied and for speaking out against them and what they believe.
I feel like that's the one thing we have in common. I don't think all of us had a beautiful transitioning. Like I would like to put it in a positive way, it was the worst time of my life. I lost literally everything, which is weird because I always feel like I've been the same Emily. And then as soon as you put politics in it, you're like this different person. I'm like, you guys, it's me. I've always been this person. But I will say, like on a positive note, like I lost everything. And I'm so happy I did. I would not have my boyfriend, my friends, my career, my spirituality. I mean, it was the hardest and best thing that's ever happened to me. And if people go through
I lost everything. I don't know what she means by everything.
that, I think you can either
like
be a
financially,
victim or it could be the most hardest, most beautiful thing you ever go through. And I could not be more thankful. I feel very, very lucky.
I think for me, it was less traumatizing and more empowering. I think knowledge is power. And I think when I started, I grew up, same as you guys, very, very religious and conservative, tightly knit family and community. And there was just a very limited.
For black people, when it comes to conservativeness, it's a lot of times it's mainly religious wise. So I wonder if he's saying like politically there was conservative for real, because black people can be real conservative religiously, but still vote Democrat, okay? Because majority of black people vote Democrat in America. So I wonder if, in his case, because he seemed like he's gay, right? If, you know, couldn't tell from the voice or the mannerisms or the shirt or the tight little shorts he's wearing. I wonder if it was more on a religious side.
Allowance of what you could believe. And there was a very limited view of what America was, what America represented internationally. And as a queer person, it was also, conservatives were not super welcoming. And so for me, leaving that space and realizing, oh, the United States is not the beacon of hope that we wish it were internationally, and queer people are allowed to be happy and fulfilled. It just, to me, it felt like freedom, and it felt like, oh, I now see how America became the world's strongest superpower. And there's a lot of issues that come along with that power. And with the freedom we have, it comes at the cost for a lot of other people around the world. And I think getting that information and knowledge
like who? Like what?
Made me feel like my eyes were opening to the real world and not just what was happening in my community and in this country.
Eufy just dropped their latest line of dual cam.
I wish you would give an example, because there are examples for sure. America has done a lot of fucked up shit to other countries that have messed up their shit going on, like in the Middle East.
Solar powered.
The dual party system hurts America.
Yeah. They say if you only have two options, you have no options.
1,000%.
Everybody.
There's 350 million people in this country. There's no way we all have two opinions.
Exactly.
No.
And it's crazy too, because we were just talking at the beginning about cults, and it's like, how do we expect people to not become inevitably really divided and polarized if it's like, are you on the right side or the wrong side? And that's it, you know what I mean? So like, depending on who you ask, they're gonna tell you what they think is the right or the wrong side. But
when you were saying Robert Kennedy, you were saying, oh yeah, he would be a great candidate, and I think he would be able to maybe see both sides. Now he's running for an independent. How often does an independent or a non-Republican or Democrat win an election?
Yeah.
Maybe local,
Never.
but not presidential elections. So now we've maybe potentially lost a candidate that could see both sides and could actually make change. But when there's so much division on two sides, there's no way that the majority of people in the United States are actually going to get a change in the ways that they need it.
I think most people are more in the middle and like have a lot more that they agree on than they realize, but this two-party system and especially the media, they keep us divided, they pit us against each other.
It's funny because I'm like, I actually should be there because I actually don't agree. I think the two-party system is working perfectly because we're all at each other's throats.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's what they want.
It's working for what they want.
It's working for what they want and not for what we want.
Right.
So it's actually perfect.
who's they?
The establishment.
Who's they?
That's what I was gonna say.
The political leaders.
Yeah,
it's like you have a 50%, you have a toss, like a 50% chance.
What, they thought they was going to say the Jews or something?
of winning every election because the country's split right in half.
Exactly.
And everyone has to be tribal, and we have to argue about things like whether or not trans people are trans or real people. And then it stops us from moving any sort of other conversation forward.
Stops moving forward.
Right, like the RNC and the
wars.
DNC have no incentive to have like more parties.
Which is
right?
why
Like,
Congress puts forth any bills to change the way that elections are
Yeah.
done, or that even getting people on the ballot from other parties.
Yeah.
Is
Well, we're like
impossible.
distracted fighting, so we don't know they're like poisoning our food and water, and we're all like literally dying.
Exactly.
And to Blake's point, like, I think a good illustration of this happened in the past couple years where the COVID policies first came down, the mandates and stuff. Yeah. They completely exploited this right-left thing, and they said, oh, wait, no, all the right people are over here and all the left people are over here.
Yep.
And, you know, the 70-something.
They're like, look, these people on the right, they don't want to get a vaccine. They want to kill your mom and your grandma and your dad and your granddad and your whole family. Like, bro, come on, bro.
Percent possibly of people who just kind of follow.
Meanwhile, motherfuckers had to get 5, 6, 7 booster shots.
Went with their tribe. They successfully got us at each other's throats about policy, like mask and vax, and did you get it? Are you going to get it? Do you agree with the policy? And you know what happened? We forgot about, like, where did this virus come from? And now they've all come around, now that we've all been successfully fighting for years. Now they're...
If you said that it came from China, if you said that it came from a lab in China, you got banned, deplatformed. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh.
They're all quietly...
But now they agree that it probably did come from a Chinese lab. Come on, bruh, in Wuhan. Come on, bruh.
In the mainstream media going like, it probably came from the lab that was studying viruses like this, like somehow it got out. Well, sorry, we didn't let you talk about that back then. Because we would have come together.
Yeah, but if we came together, we'd all go after them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they don't want us to come together.
That's why they don't want that. Yeah.
They don't want us to see this middle ground.
And a lot of these motherfucking liberals that's in these higher up places, for some reason, I don't know why, they want America to slow down so China can catch up. Very strange.
I think
I don't know if I can put them on a political basis, but it's a lot of these people that got money, bro. A lot of these people that run the world, that run America for real. They got people in place to push agendas that are not beneficial to us. Like, if you look at, like, nuclear. Why does America not have more nuclear plants? It takes America, what was it, 25 to... I learned this from Vivek Ramaswamy, I looked it up. 25 to 40 years for America to make a nuclear power plant. It takes other places 4 to 5 years. Why? Why are they pushing this idea that it's so unsafe, whoop? But, like, if we expanded on nuclear power, energy bills will go down. Our electric bills will go down. If Americans knew that, they would be pushing for it, but Americans don't know that shit. Because they don't want you to know. Because they want to keep charging you out your ass.
Right,
We're going to make a video talking about that shit.
Agreement is pretty simple. The two-party system seems to be an inherent flaw within democracy. Because if the answer is to have more political parties, I think that loses its efficiency. And if it's to become one, it stops being a democracy. And where the two-party system fails, we should make some improvements. Whether the two-party systems are actually causing America harm, I think it's just the way, America was designed.
Yeah. Why can't we change it? They don't want it to be changed.
Because they're making billions.
But what would you change it to?
Well, that's... Do you have,
Well,
you have 10
I
hours?
would say
Do you have like
Multiple parties, bro. Multiple parties.
85 days?
Well, what I would say is that, getting down to one political party would, it would seem, totalitarian in essence. But,
I don't agree with that.
I think, there's a lot of totalitarian societies, if there is a good moral head of that government, it could do a lot of good.
Yeah.
I would say Singapore, it's illegal to spit gum on the floor, and that's because of their totalitarian government, I'm pretty sure. And, but it also promotes, decency.
Like Dubai, it's like you can't go over there and yell and like shake your butt in a thong, and like I think that is, not okay to do either. And that's kind of totalitarian over there as well.
Well, I mean, if you're in a bathing suit, what's wrong with shaking your ass? Okay? Now, screaming and fighting and yelling at people, that's different. Okay, yeah, for sure. But I don't know, you can't equate shaking your ass in a bathing suit or thong to yelling at people.
Those are like very little things that you're giving up to have no control over your own life.
Like
Saudi Arabia also is another example. Is like you will chop your hand off literally if you steal, and as a result there is no crime. Imagine living somewhere where zero crime.
But there's no freedom.
There is zero crime.
There's no freedom either. And again, if we want to talk about biased statistics, totalitarian government is not going to be delivering accurate statistics from within when they're saying, hey, look, we chop everybody's hands off in the...
Yeah. Gay Republican dude, he kind of messed up trying to add voice to a totalitarian government. No. I'm sorry, brother. It's not good. Because you see how we're very free over here in America where it's not totalitarian, and you already see how people try to control shit. So imagine this is a pipe dream, bro. Humans are not perfect. Humans can be corrupted easily, and especially people in power. Corruptible. That's why something like that is not going to work, okay? Not to the benefit of everybody.
They steal, and now crime is at 0%.
And people feel like if they vote for a third party that you're giving it to the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's
what
I did in the Hillary versus Trump election. I voted for Jill Stein, and when I was doing it, I was like, oh, I'm so passionate about it because renewable energy, green energy, whatever. And then I left the ballot, and I was like, oh no, wait, hold on, is that just going to be kind of like thrown to the side? And
it's not. It's not. It's just a process. It takes time to change, and I think instead of trying to go to like a more restricted society, it's like, how can we fix democracy? And so it's like, how can we actually put power back into the hands of the people? And voting third party, it may not be this generation even that sees the benefit, but it's gonna take one person. I think if Bernie Sanders or Trump had run third party, it would have been a much different scenario. Mm-hmm. But people are afraid to leave the system, and RFK is trying it now, so we'll see what happens, but it's even hard to get on the ballot as a third party right now.
Yeah.
Certain policies from my former political beliefs.
I know the prompt said policies, but I'm definitely still okay with certain things that are generally seen more as like the conservative thing. I sometimes do agree with conservatives about like people being too sensitive, for example. Like I think that's definitely a problem, or the cancel culture thing. I think is a totally like a fair issue that is like a very real problem that can be talked about. So, yeah.
I think when I thought of policies, I was thinking of I immediately went to the economy because, why are we going so far overseas and billions, trillions of dollars go overseas, but there are people that are literally outside a Starbucks starving. And I'm like, what's going on? Why can't we help this person? And that's where the conflict comes, because I'm like, hold on, wait, this is a more conservative idea. However, it's also a humanitarian, which I believe is the root of it, is we just need to get to a common ground with that.
Yeah, that's literally me. I'm America first.
Yeah, I was gonna say make America great again. That's not old school Bush conservatism. You know what I mean?
It's funny because I'm why are we worrying about them when there is people literally starving in front of me, and I'm still pro-choice. That's an extremely liberal thing in my community. And other than that, I care about the planet. I care about the animals.
Whoa.
I care about regenerative farming. I think that should be the biggest issue being discussed right now. Yeah. The soil is, we die without it, and that is something not many people on the right are touching, and those are huge issues for me.
Yeah, and getting back to indigenous cultures and letting the indigenous nations.
They know what they're doing.
They know,
and we destroyed it.
Well, exactly. We have a punishment.
Right now, the soil is, we die without it, and that is something not many people on the right are touching, and those are huge issues for me.
Yeah, and getting back to indigenous cultures and letting the indigenous nations.
They know what they're doing.
They know,
and we destroyed it.
Well, exactly. We have a country, a territory, Puerto Rico, that's literally impoverished and in crumbles due to all the natural disasters, and yet we deny it.
And the better we help ourselves, the more we can help them. We got to get our shit straight.
I think that I came out here to say I still hold a lot of the positions I held on the left, and it's kind of funny because I think what's left and right has changed. We don't even know what's up and what's down anymore, because I always thought when I was in the left for 20 years, I marched against the Iraq War.
Anti-war
I was
left.
Anti-corporations, anti-big pharma, anti-war, and now I feel like things have switched to such a degree that it's more of the right who's voicing those concerns when it comes to questioning big pharma, questioning corporations. And so I don't even know if that's accurate to say I hold opinions that the left holds, because I don't know if they hold them anymore.
So I don't agree with any of the values that I previously had. I used to be a black supremacist. I used to be anti-American. I used to be a feminist. I used to be an ally. And as I've collected new information and evolved my understanding of the world, I am now pro-American. I see the alphabet community as an acronym for sexual perversions. I see feminism as inherently misogynistic and
Hold on. You saw how you reacted, bro?
I see feminism as inherently misogynistic and offensive, honestly.
Say again, feminism?
Feminism as inherently misogynistic and offensive, honestly. And I see my past black supremacist ways and a lot of pro-black things as very racist. And so it's a flip-flop, and I used to be pro-choice. I definitely not. It's obviously the murder of unborn humans, and I just think it's crazy that we don't see that, and there's no way I could ever go back to holding those beliefs because it just would be wrong.
Never say never, because you've already changed once.
Never.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is that I feel like people who, and it seems like both of them, right? Both of them say they don't give anything they used to think anymore. I think it's you gotta keep an eye on yourself if it seems like you're like operating in absolutes and extremes, because you believed in something. 9 times out of 10, it's not because you were forced and brainwashed into believing it. You believed stuff because you thought there was merit to it, and a lot of times there's still merit to certain aspects of what you certain aspects of what you believe. So just to go all out and say, oh yeah, that shit, yeah, no, it's all fugazi, nothing. Come on, bro. There's stuff that you agreed with, okay? There's stuff that you'd agree with. Not everything, but at least there's at least one thing. You know what I mean?
I don't really hold any.
Like when I was super Black Lives Matter, now I'm not really. I'm not gonna say that it was entirely, stupid. You know what I'm saying? It was for a reason. Like I agree with black people working hard and picking themselves up, right? Picking yourself up by your bootstraps. I agree with that. But I also agree that there are and have been people in power, systems in power, organizations in power that have done things to hold black people back, like the FBI, for example, okay? And the CIA. The CIA doesn't operate on U.S. soil.
Conservative.
Two things can be true.
Values. I'm sure there's some you could find that I'd be like, oh, that's not terrible. I don't really hold a lot of democratic values. I consider myself more a progressive populist.
No, I'm just kidding.
So I think both sides have failed this country and the people in it massively, and I think everyone here actually kind of agrees with that.
Makes sense, because he said that he went overseas and stuff and was like, I guess, living life. So I can see where his thinking is coming from. He's not really like a liberal, Democrat, whatever.
But we continue to bolster up the two political party system. I think, like I said, neither of them have worked. Our country is eroding and deteriorating. You can't blame just one party because every 8 years the White House changes colors, and it's blue and now it's red, and it's blue and it's red. Mm-hmm. Congress flips back and forth, and neither party has been able to consistently stay in power because they both suck. So we get one, we hate it, we switch. We hate it, we switch. Mm-hmm. So I tend to think it all needs to be kind of wiped away, rebuilt, and rethought. I think the experiment has failed.
Yeah. And both sides have their extreme, far left and far right. And like most people are generally in the middle, but like I feel like there's nuance in things, and people forget that there's like, it doesn't have to be so black and white.
I'm not glad that lady has terrible posture, bro. I'm just not noticing. Like, come on, bro. Put your back up straight, bro. Come on, bro. That's not good for you.
One extreme or the other, and say, with maybe different policies like abortion, for example, like, we can be, pro-choice, but like agree that there should be like a limit on when you should be able to abort the baby.
Yes.
Like there's things that people should be able to debate and discuss.
I remember I had that conversation. Well, it wasn't even a conversation, because as soon as I even said anything like that, the girl's like, What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, shut up, bitch. Like, bro, if this is how you gonna respond when people talk about things, bro, you can't have these conversations.
Like come to, a compromise on whatever it is. There's layers to things, and I just think that it's we're just such a black and white society right now. I feel like we just are so
That's
like
what I don't like
extreme
with
one side or the
Republicans.
other, and that's why it's good when we can have like we can come in and say, yeah, like I agree with this policy on this side, but this policy on this side, you know.
Yeah, like, instead of just being like, we're banning abortion, like, can we just find a middle ground?
Right.
Because we just keep losing on this subject, and I'm tired of losing.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
People are dying.
But whether you agree with them or not, you just said people are dying. Someone with that viewpoint, they would say, yes, millions of unborn babies.
Yeah, that's
like they view it as, even if you don't agree, it's the loss of a human life is more important to them than allowing the government to have the say over what a woman does with her body. They prioritize it here. I'm still pro-choice, which I know also, my opinions on abortion have been in flux for a few years. We should become more accustomed to saying, I'm thinking about this thing for a long time.
Yeah, and like that's why I don't hate on them, because I think it's beautiful, and I'm also like a weird Republican. I'm literally pro-choice, but I go, no, you're literally murdering a baby, and I believe it's spiritually demonic. I still want someone to have that right, which is a weird thing, because I'm saying multiple
it's
horrible
rational.
things.
Well, I mean, you know what's interesting is who I think you were saying like
my opinion's always been the same on abortion. When I started thinking about it for real, it is always the same. Like, I understand, you know, as a human being that's in the process of being born, right? Still a human. Oh, it's not a human, it's a fetus. It's a human, whatever. And I understand abortion is killing the human. Like if a pregnant woman was. If you shot a pregnant woman and she died and the fetus died, right? That's a double homicide, okay? You killed two people, okay? But I also understand that some people may not be ready for children. Some people may not be fit to have children. Some people are forced into pregnancy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that just option should be there because it's an option, right? It is what it is. Now there should be a limit to it, which 90-something% of abortions happen at 14 weeks or prior. So, you know, there's a reasonable time range in there in that 14 to 16, whatever.
The experiment has failed, and it's like I think we've strayed so far away from the experiment. I actually think we have to go back to the Constitution, which people have been abandoning on both sides. I'm not going to say one side more than the other. People have been abandoning the Constitution on both sides. Right. So, you know, and so I don't even disagree with you. I don't think the experiment has failed. I think that we've gone away from what the experiment was supposed to be. I think we have to take a good hard look at the Constitution and say, what does this say? This is the supreme law of the United States. And there's a lot of people who that's inconvenient for. And good, it should be inconvenient for the government. It should be absolutely inconvenient for the government. Yeah. But anyway, that's what I think.
I love that.
But yeah, man, oh my gosh, this is an hour long. That's crazy. Why do I keep making long videos, bruh? It's a lot to talk about, bro. This shit real shit, bro. It's complicated. It's not. These are concepts that are not things you can just put in like a quick 2-second blurb. Okay, this stuff you got to talk about when we're engaging in these ideas of the world around us. And for my fellow Americans that are watching this video, in this country that we're living in, this nation, in this great nation full of potential and possibility. It takes long conversations like these. You feel me? I want to start doing stuff where I have people with me, where we can converse. I mean, I did a little bit before. I had my dog, Zovi. We had him on here. We was watching something, and we was discussing it. And, you know, 'cause I like the conversations. I like the long form stuff. I like podcasts. I'm not sitting on those damn podcasts, though, but I'll definitely be on somebody's. Because there's a lot of things going on in this world, bro. A lot of things going on, bro, that need to be talked out, hashed out. Ideas have to clash. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, that's a video. It's been on long enough. If you're still watching right now, you know, I'll fuck with you heavy. I appreciate you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, hit notification down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Won't be as long.